This story begins with our protagonist waking up in a hospital, somewhat confused, wondering what had happened. The only thing he could remember was that a deity mentioned to him that he would be exchanged with his self from another universe, in a world 139, something he honestly did not understand very well. In the hospital, his mother was attending him, clearly distressed, which made the protagonist wonder if she had always been this attentive, since in his previous world he never got to know his parents, who simply disappeared one day and never came back. When talking to his mother about this new universe, she spoke to him with much affection and respect, mentioning that she was very worried about him, but that his memory loss would be temporary and that she was ready to create new memories by his side. At that moment, the protagonist was happy to be with his mother, even though she came from another universe. However, he hoped that, in any other universe, she would always be the same and they could be together. What he does not know is that in different universes there will always be major differences. While she was with her mother, she inwardly felt a deep love for her son, telling herself that she loved him and that he belonged only to her. This love was not that of an ordinary mother, and she confessed that she loved the new version of her son more. Despite being close to him, he had not rejected her. She loved the old him, although he was a bit rebellious, but she adored even more this new tender and sweet version, saying to herself that when they got home they would create beautiful moments together. But Al arrives. The first thing they would do would be to take a bath together.
Stop it. Get some help.
Some time passed and our protagonist went out to the bathroom. When he returned to his room, a nurse reprimanded him for leaving without authorization, telling him that he was still in the process of recovery and that he shouldn't exert himself so much. The protagonist apologized, explaining that he had only gone to the bathroom, and returned to bed. The nurse, like his mother, deep down wanted to stay with him, regretting not having accompanied him to the bathroom to assist him more. She was worried that, outside the room, there were other women who also wanted to conquer him and who would try to snatch him away from her. She was not going to allow that, so she was willing to fight to keep him and marry him. Something was not right in this world. Were women excessively lustful, or were there simply no men? Finally, it was time to leave the hospital, and when he was discharged, the protagonist thanked one of the nurses for all the care. She, with a smile, asked him to take care of himself and wished him well, although inside she was devastated, as her beloved was leaving without her having accomplished anything, not even getting his contact number. This was all too strange. The only question that arose was, what was wrong with women? When she got home, her mother told her that this was her new home, asking if she remembered it. However, she assured him that it didn't matter if he didn't, as they could create new memories together. The protagonist did remember everything. The place was exactly the same as his previous world, but he pretended to have amnesia to enjoy his new family, create new memories and avoid what had happened to his old family, whom he did not get to know well and did not enjoy. He wanted to experience what it was like to have a real family, so he decided to lie to start from scratch. What he didn't know was that, deep down, his new mother wanted him for other reasons. She claimed that this home was their new love nest for both of them. Upon entering the house, his mother introduced him to his sisters, Sumire, a very attractive college girl, and her younger sister, who was in high school, named Sakura. The mother's name was Kane, but he could call her mom. The protagonist thought his family was pretty normal, although, with his mother being so young, he felt he had 3 sisters. At that moment, Sakura realized that her brother was not the same. She felt something strange. He was not the usual aggressive boy, he was someone different. Sumire also wondered what was wrong with her brother, questioning if he had really lost his memory. In a way, she was glad he had changed, as maybe now she wouldn't have to hide in her room to avoid him. Most worried was his mother, who was extremely excited that her son had become sweeter and more affectionate, hoping he would get along with his sisters and wishing he would call her mom, and then turn her into mom.
Hey yo, what the fuck?
Our prota was curious about what was going on in that world. It seemed like it wasn't so different from his own, but something didn't fit. Upon asking his mother about the whereabouts of his father, she confessed to him that she had never had one. Moreover, each of her children came from different donors. The protagonist was even more confused, not quite understanding what was going on. His mother's dark side came to light, revealing that, Although his birth was artificial, they would soon do it naturally, and he would become the new father and her new husband. This was becoming more disturbing, not only with his mother, but also with his sisters. Noticing that he was acting differently with them, Sumire began to feel something strange. Previously, the protagonist looked at her as if she was a stranger, but now he cared about her, which made her feel excited. As for Sakura, she was much more appreciative of this new version of her brother, who treated her kindly. Her sister crossed the line when the protagonist tried to go out alone to the supermarket, but she wouldn't let him, afraid that other girls would try to approach him. Sumire wanted to be the only one to have him. While changing clothes, she asked her brother how he liked girls, whether he preferred them to be attractive or flirtatious, to which he simply replied that he liked them cute. However, Sumire continued to ask him awkward questions, as he asked her to hurry up and get dressed so they could go out to the supermarket. It was already getting a little late. Deep down, she thought that if a boy and a girl went out together, that was like a date, and she was eager to go out with her brother, wishing she was the only one to keep him. When she finished dressing, her sister asked her how she looks. Aoi told her that she looks good and she looks pretty. They both left to the supermarket and came back 10 minutes later. She was excited because it was the first time that someone of the handsome sex called her pretty. She was sure that they were in love. Maybe Aoi liked everything about her. Maybe she could get married. It was awkward, but she hopes that they will be together for the rest of their lives, and hopefully he will take care of her. His mother tells him that she heard him call a girl cute so easily, and that could be misinterpreted, and he has never said that to her. Aoi didn't realize that and says that she also thinks Mom is cute. Mom was also called cute by Aoi, but she tells him that he shouldn't say sweet words to women so easily, that could be misinterpreted. After all, Aoi loves Mom, right? Here the creator gives us a panel where his family is proposing indecent things to him. His other sister tells him that she heard that he called Mom and Wani-chan cute. He wonders how Sakura also found out that women in this world are not praised much by men. Maybe they feel lonely, so as an older brother, shouldn't he praise her too? She didn't want to make Oni-chan feel uncomfortable, she just wanted him to treat her like the others. She was sorry for being a capricious sister. Aoi wanted to meet her sister's expectations, so she praised her with all her might, calling her all kinds of nice names. This morning Sakura asked her things on the destiny, lovers and as babies are made. They wondered that it had happened to her, perhaps something had happened to her. Sakura understood the meaning of being born. Aoi was overwhelmed by his desires. He knew that they were related by blood, but for him they seemed beautiful and pretty women that are strange. But now they are my family, so not to see his family in that way. He was beginning to look for several ways to unburden himself. He did not find anything extreme or very strong, only he found things little intimate. Sakura finds the history of her brother. She realizes that her dear brother is in that age and apparently he likes the bikinis, so she will have to prepare herself. She continues looking and she gets angry when seeing her history and finds searches on older sisters with big attributes and black hair. When continuing looking, she realizes with trembling hands that her dear brother, this describing the appearance of her sister and of her mother.
Hey yo, what the fuck?
Sakura asks her sister how old is her mother. Her sister answers her that she had her when she was 17 years old, so she supposes that now she is 35. Sakura is surprised when knowing that her mother was so young. She explains to her that the women can receive donations of white liquid from the 16. Mom wanted to have children, so she enrolled in a special school for parents who want to have children. In this world, if you have a child, the government gives you great benefits because it is rare for male children to be born. Sakura asks her if she has already started using the white liquid donations. She thinks to herself that she doesn't need white liquid donations because she already has Aoi and she doesn't want to have children so fast. But if Aoi wanted children, she would think about it, but for the moment she just wants to spend some time with him. She knows that her brother looks at her as a woman, so she wondered why he doesn't make a pass at her. Days later, his mother reminds him that 16-year-old men with white fluid are required once a month to donate fluid to the state, but he was to go to the white fluid center this week. His mom looked very nervous saying that. She reminds him that he once went, before he lost his memory and came out crying, saying he never wanted to go back to that place. He is shocked to learn that the Aoi of that world cried in a place like that. He died of shame. His mother was worried as everything was going well, but if he got hurt again in that center, she feared that in the worst case scenario he would go back to isolating himself in his room. The whole family was gathered together to encourage their brother as they were about to go to the donation center. His mother was happy to see that her son was calm. Before he started crying for no reason, but now she feels that Aoi-chan is fine. Her sister was determined to protect her brother since her beloved brother had traumas before he lost his memory. If something goes wrong, she will take care of it since she knows martial arts. Sakura's thoughts were less pure. She researched that in fertility centers the family can help during the collection of white liquid. If her Oni-chan has difficulties to finish, Sakura will help you. When he and his family arrived at the fertility center, they received several directions. The receptionist tells them to go to the white liquid collection room and fill the container. If it is too difficult for you to do it yourself, one of our staff will help you. Okay. She asks him not to worry as the workers have 45 years of experience. They can make any man finish. The receptionist thinks to herself, he seems like a nice guy. Usually the men who come here usually do so reluctantly. They never listen to introductions and look at us ugly, but this family seems to get along well with their male figure. To have such a nice guy is to be very lucky. They must be having a good time together, wishing they had a nice brother like him. His whole family was offering to help him, a very unusual and disturbing help, but he tells them that he will do it alone. We can see how his mother knows that Aoi-chan has been looking at her in unusual places. This is getting weirder, and we see how his other sister also thinks to herself in very obscene and uncommon things in siblings, and as expected his other sister does not stay behind and offers to help him with her hand or with her mouth, among other things. Leaving his worried family behind, he enters the room. It was a private room with low lighting. He was looking for erotic content to do the job. Meanwhile, in the waiting room, his family was worried because Aoi was alone and each one was counting the ways in which they would help his brother. Our protagonist had finished the work. The doctor was surprised to see the amount and then thanked him with a smile on her face, telling him that all his hard work will be of help to humanity. Aoi felt very productive and happy since he had done a good job. We can see how the doctor thinks it is too much. Most men just give small samples and leave, but this guy had forced himself to donate so much for the good of mankind. Then things got weirder and the doctor was getting excited just thinking that there are men like that. He was relieved to get out of there, so much so that he offered to give his mother a massage because she always said his shoulders were tense. Before he couldn't do it because his hormones would go crazy just by touching a woman, but now he felt relaxed. As expected, his mother was happy to know that her Aoi-chan would massage him with her big hands, and she even thinks to herself that she wished he would touch other things besides her shoulders. Even though her sister Sumire is still dressing sloppily as usual, she doesn't care anymore. He asks her if the program she is watching is interesting. She says more or less, so then he sits next to her. When her brother sat next to her, her mind began to waver. She could not concentrate on the television. For her, this situation was like a perverted dream she had. She should take advantage of the moment. Although thinking about it, she decided to calm down. Her first time with Aoi-chan should be a better environment and should be the best memory, although she really wanted to do it now. This one had learned that his sister Sakura liked compliments, so today he was going to tell her some. This one tells her that she looks adorable, that he was lucky to have a sister like her, and asks her if there is anything she wants him to do for her today. She thanks him for all the compliments and tells her brother to please pet her head. His sister today was docile and kind. She loves it when Oni-chan looks at her. She wants to be loved even more by Oni-chan, and to achieve that she is willing to do anything. Aoi lately was doing muscular exercise. He was very worried because since he was exchanged to this world, his sexual desire has increased in him, so he has been training even more than usual. The exercise was the best way to release his desire, and if he didn't get rid of this sexual desire, he would start to look at his family strangely again, which was against his ethics. He would like to go back to the fertility center, but they only let him in once a week at the most. What he didn't know was that his whole family was spying on him. They were all admiring and proud of him, but they wanted him to do full body exercise with them. They hoped they could prove the results themselves. Aoi asks his mother when he will go to school, or he is already attending one. It was already May, he should be in second year of high school. His mother is surprised that Aoi wants to go to school, and asks him why he wants to attend school. Surprised, Aoi tells her that it is normal for him to attend school and he wants to have friends, and if he does not study, then how he will be able to get a job in the future? His mother never imagined that her Aoi-chan would work. She always thought to keep him forever. They explain to us that in this world men can survive without working if they use various support systems. But she knew that her son needed friends. Staying at home all day is boring. It was not good to overprotect Aoi-chan so much, so she starts to think about the nearest boys' schools, although there may not be many nearby. Her family was in the living room looking for the best options for her Oni-chan to study. It was a bit difficult since most of the boys' schools were far away. Aoi wonders why they are only choosing boys' schools. He is also a boy and he wants for his youth with girls. He was already decided he wanted to enter a co-ed school, so he talks and asks them about co-ed schools, but as he asks this, a silence invades the room and the atmosphere becomes gloomy. His mother asks him what he means by mixed. Aoi tells him that he means schools where boys and girls attend. His sister corrects him by saying that she means male scholarship students in some girls' schools. Aoi realizes that maybe in this world there are no mixed schools as such, there are only boys and girls' schools. He doesn't like the idea of going to a school where there are only boys. He asks if there is any possibility for him to attend as one of those male scholarship students. All at the same time and forcefully told him no. His mother knew it since Aoi-chan has amnesia, has forgotten the fear to the women that she had. She supposed that that was the reason of why now he can interact with them in a natural way. Her sister Sakura worries because her Ani-chan after the accident had not interacted with a woman apart from them and the nurses. Besides, that place is not safe for the men. Her brother does not realize how hungry of man the women of the world are. She would make sure to teach him how dangerous the women are. The day after her family denied her admission to a school as a male scholarship student, her mother told her about all kinds of incidents against men, abuse, kidnapping and more. She didn't usually watch the news, so she didn't notice. Apparently it's not uncommon for these incidents to happen. The news was reporting about a 30-year-old man who was drugged with a sleeping pill while drinking alcohol and then knocked unconscious and had indecent acts committed on him. The police arrested 2 girls, one of which was a high school student. Basically, if you get careless easily, some women will kidnap you and you know what will happen next. Deep down, his mother had always wanted to do indecent things with him. She regretted being such a mother. She knew that her other daughters also wanted to do things with Aoi-chan, but they were afraid that he would hate them, so they didn't try anything. But if Aoi-chan came on to them, they might attack him in the same way as the women who caused those incidents. Then her sister suddenly entered his room. She angrily tells him that she will let him experience firsthand what it is like to be afraid of women. For example, if a man and a woman are alone in a room like this, a woman with a weak mind will surely attack a man. She will prove it, so she asks him to try to resist. Aoi asks him if it was okay for him to resist, but Samaire brushes aside her worries by telling him that she is learning martial arts. She had to make sure her brother has a sense of danger. She had to experience how risky a woman can be. Of course she wouldn't do anything lustful, but she hoped it would make him feel a little threatened. She could become an object of fear for her Aoi-chan. Honestly, she didn't like that, but someone had to do it. She wouldn't forgive herself if something happened to her in the future because of her innocence. In the end, Aoi defeated his sister in combat. He explains that in his previous world he had no family and didn't fit into the orphanage, so he used to go very often to a nearby dojo to play and was trained by a man who was very tough. Aoi explains to her sister that he is a man so he can take care of things. We see how this situation triggers a crazy reaction in her sister. She thought that Aoi wanted to do it with her in that place. Then it was Sakura who came to talk to him what women can be. She tells him that he doesn't understand what women are secretly thinking. Women in particular are terrifying to men. She even tells him that she is a bit like that too. At that moment he realizes that his angelic Sakura is actually a devilish Sakura in secret. Maybe she needed to calm down, so he offers to give her a hug. She didn't have this plan. She came to scare his Oni-chan and tell him the bad things women do, but not to say yes to everything. She was a very foolish one. But her Aoi was too kind. If she told her friends, they would tell her that you are a little too out of the ordinary guy. His family convinced him to quit that school thing and better take care of the housework. In the old world he was alone and without family. In this world he was less free than before, but he is lucky to be surrounded by his family. Her mother was happy since her Aoi-chan renounced to the idea of attending the school only for girls. He did not have any interest to attend the school only for boys. They were very happy that Aoi-chan is at home. Sakura thought almost the same that her mother. She was also happy, but at the same time she felt guilty since this happiness was the result of her selfishness when bending the will of her Oni-chan. It was true that to go to a school only for girls was dangerous, but she also wants him to do what she wants. She felt restless. Her other sister had similar thoughts but with a slight difference. She knew a school that was only for girls but where boys attended on scholarship. The difference was that in this school the boys were protected so that nothing would happen to them. She had not contacted an old friend for a long time. Maybe she should try for the sake and happiness of her Aoi-chan. Days later her sister with disinterest asks Aoi if he is still interested in going to school. He says yes. Even though he had heard all the wrong things they do to the boys of this world, he still wanted to go and see for himself. His sister says she might be able to get him a recommendation for a girls' school where OIA can go. Let me take a picture of you, Nasan, will make it look great. When she asked about it, her friend gave her a positive answer, but she demanded one of Aoi's photos so she could show it to her mother, the headmistress. Surely she just wants to see him. She would send them a photo of her future husband to introduce to them. She wonders if she could take some naughty photos of him for her. Without realizing it now, her whole family now wanted to take a picture of her. They were telling her to pose for the forums. Even Sumire told her to take off her clothes and give him a sexy look. She was sure this definitely had nothing to do with school. Her mother was happy since Sumire-chan got Aoi a safe school. Surely that school was safer than most of the boys' schools, right? The girls there were supposed to be educated like all ladies. She was supposed to be fine. Sakura was happy that her sister now could do what she wanted to do. If her Oni-chan is happy, then she also is. Anyway, she did not know that Oni-chan had a friend of that school. She felt guilty since she thought that her sister did not have friends. The one who was Sumire. The first picture she took was to send, but the others were just for them. The cell phone memory was filling up. It was full of Aoi. That sounds weird. She never thought that taking pictures could be so much fun. She even thought of one day shooting an adult video with Aoi.
Damn!
The next day her friend came to her house to see him. He was surprised when he saw Aoi's picture. He knew Sumire had a brother, but not that he knew he was such a nice guy. Sumire angrily tells him not to come into her house so suddenly, or Aoi might get scared if a woman he doesn't know approaches him. Why did she come to our house only a day after she sent him the photo? It had been a while since she saw her and she was still as energetic. This girl was only 4 years older than her. Maybe it was a mistake of hers to trust her to Aoi. The first thing the girl does is to ask Aoi to marry her. He is surprised, but she clarifies that she means it. He did not know what to answer since he had just met her. She tells him that although it did not seem so, she was the heiress of the Kono family. Aoi, upon knowing this, said that it would be even more of a contempt to do it with someone like him. She was sure that Kano-san would find someone better than him. She asked him if he had just rejected her, but then she said that it didn't matter. She was used to being rejected. She thinks Aoi is kind of a weird guy. Usually the men she has talked to have been so scared that they can't even have a proper conversation. Even the men who despise women just keep quiet when she mentions the surname Kono. This guy looks her straight in the eye and talks to her in an equal and normal way. She visits him early at her mother's request, but apparently he meets the entrance requirements, so she thinks that bodes well. Kano-san returned home as soon as he finished explaining the terms about the school, which were, act normal with the girls and get along with her though. As far as he knows, this was what children were told before going to elementary school. Kono Gakuen is the school that Aoi will attend. It seemed to be a school where she would have female chaperones, so that she can ensure that she can interact with her future escort targets without any problems. It literally says that a male student is assigned to each class. The purpose of this is to develop resistance to men. If a girl assaults a scholarship student, she will be forced to leave the school immediately. Scholarship students are assigned escorts, these being the ones with the best grades in each class. So far there have been no incidents where a girl has been forced to leave the school from what she was told. However, the scholarship students usually stopped going to school in the middle of the year because they couldn't stand the idea of interacting with girls, which is why the school offers free tuition for male scholarship students. The school has also improved its facilities and is attracting more and more male students, so she is told. Aoi thinks that he will be the only male in a class of 40 students and he is supposed to act normal with all the girls. Kano-san told him that his acting normal will be like sweet poison to the girls in his class. He wondered what she meant by that. His first day of school had arrived. His whole family was gathered to say goodbye to him. His mother was crying and asking him not to leave. Sumire looked like he had fainted for a while and Sakura was wishing him to have fun and good luck at school. Aoi was nervous, but he had to go. It seemed that his classmates had gone to pick him up at home and were outside waiting for him. We see that his mother was no longer sure about letting Aoi go to school. She had dirty thoughts. She thought that as cool as her son is, as soon as he enters the classroom he might do indecent things that I can't detail with the 40 girls. Sumire couldn't believe it. Even though she had done this for Aoi's sake, now she regretted it. She thought her brother was going to be used as a toy by those hot women, if you know what I mean.
No! No! No!
Her thoughts were drifting as she imagined her Aoi with other girls. Her body was getting happy, but she suddenly stops those thoughts. She couldn't think that she wanted Aoi's first time to be with her. Sakura wonders why when she thinks of Oniai-chan going to a school for girls she cannot sleep. She asked forgiveness to her brother for being such a jealous sister. She did not care how corrupt Aoi would become from now on. She only wished that in the end he would remain by her side. On the way out he sees how his new classmates introduce themselves. They tell them that they are sophomores and that from now on he will be their responsibility. The girl on the right introduces herself as Natsuki Inada, the girl in the middle introduces herself as Kono Kanaria, and lastly the one on the left is called Chabatake Mike. He introduces himself as Seiwo Aoi and asks them to please take care of him from now on. Natsuki Inada thinks it's great. He was able to greet them without any problems. They had previously taken care of another boy and he ignored them when they introduced themselves. Maybe they will get along well after all. Kono Kanaria thinks that Aoi is an even nicer man than he looked in the picture, as expected of her future husband. She says that in order not to bring the Kono family name into disrepute she will definitely protect Aoi-sama. Damn, this started off strong. Lastly, Chabatake is intrigued since he greeted them like a normal person. Maybe he wasn't a bad guy. Well, if she was too boring he might end up hating her and have her removed as his companion. If he turned out to be a pain in the ass she would dump him right away. Back at school Aoi asks Kono about the thing on her hip. She tells him it's a cane. The school provides them to the chaperones. Aoi says she wishes she had one of those. Surprised, Kono tells her that he already has a pretty attractive cane, but before she goes on talking she stops and asks Aoi to forget everything she had said. She was jumping the gun. They haven't had an ideal and hot couple talk yet, have they? She says to herself that Aoi's cane is for his future use. It wasn't something Aoi should grab on his own. Maybe by donating white liquid Aoi had to end up alone, but she as his future wife will have to do those things too. She will help him. Things continue at school. These three were together to make sure that no girl would hurt Aoi, because so many girls in one place could be very dangerous for him. So when the three of them finish the classes they want to leave as fast as possible, but Aoi rejects them, telling them that first he wanted to go to the bathroom. They told them that they should accompany him because the bathroom could be one of the most dangerous places he could go to. When he heard them he looked at them surprised. He didn't understand why they were saying that the bathroom was a dangerous place, so Kana explained that the girls accompanying him should take care of him even more in this type of situation, since the most common cases of aggression towards men arise in the bathrooms, whether they are public or school bathrooms. There have been cases where a group of women do improper things with a man using force, thanks to the fact that a bathroom is a closed place without much escape, taking advantage of defenseless men. For this and more reasons they should be by his side, especially if it was about going to the bathroom. All this was for his good. In truth, up to this point Kana was the only one of the three that had good intentions and did not think of anything other than Aoi's safety. Since the other two were not so innocent, like Kana, Kono also wanted to accompany him, not for his safety. She wanted to be alone with him and hopefully help him with whatever he needed while they were alone. Miku on the other hand didn't care who he went to the bathroom with. She only cared about having some of Aoi's perfume to smell while she was at home. Aoi accepts, but with the condition of only taking one of them, deciding for Miku since she was the girl he knew the most. After Miku checked the bathroom and made sure that there was no danger, Miku tells him that he could enter without worrying. He thanks her for her help and Miku blushes when she hears it, since never before a boy had thanked her for her help, but on the contrary usually the boys were afraid of her and criticized her for having a very developed body for her age. After thanking him, he enters the bathroom and Miku cannot feel Aoi's scent and becomes anxious because she cannot experience the happiness that her scent transmits. Such was her level of obsession that she began to tremble while thinking that she needed Aoi-kun all to herself. When Aoi finished he left the bathroom where his companions were waiting for him. He thanked Miku again for waiting for him so patiently, calling her by her last name, which caused an immediate reaction in her, asking him to call her only by her first name. It was simpler, she said. The other girls agreed with Miku and also asked Aoi to only call them by their first name, but as we are used to, they show us their true thoughts. Kana, who is the most innocent girl in the group, thought it was nice that Aoi could become closer to them and feel comfortable around them. Previously she had only experienced how the male gender feared not only her but mostly women, but she thought that Aoi was different, at least he acted different, so she hoped that things in her school would change. Hopefully in the future they would all be friends. We are shown again the thoughts of Miku, who was excited to have been called by name. Wishing within herself to marry Aoi, she would make sure that no girl would hurt her man. She would protect him from any woman and watch that no one would come near him to make sure that he is only for her. Kono, seeing how Miku interacted with the main character, quickly became jealous. She suspected that something had happened while she and Aoi were alone. It was the only logical explanation in her mind to understand why they acted so nice to each other. But this was going to stop now. She was not going to let Mika take away the boy that now belonged to her. While this was going on, in the class where Aoi would be attending, the teacher was warning all the girls beforehand that a new student was about to be added to the class, which caused strong criticism against the girls who were taking care of Aoi, since whenever they took care of a new student, they were in charge of shooing him away and always ended up changing their minds and transferring to an all-male school. Other students said that if they were the ones taking care of the new boy, they would do a good job making him feel comfortable and happy. Others said that they just wanted to spend some time with the main character if they had the chance and teach him things that he would surely like. The teacher asked them to be on their best behavior and polite, but these girls were thinking about getting close and affectionate with the new male student, even if it meant being expelled from school. Aoi was heading to his school without knowing what was coming. He was on the subway in a special car for boys only, where he found other students with their companions, but the strange thing was that all of them kept some distance with the girls, and he seemed to be the only one who was close to the girls who cared for him. But without giving him much importance, he was just looking forward to get to school and make friends, hopefully get a girlfriend at the end of high school. When he arrived at school, his teacher welcomed him and told him that she hoped everything would go well and that he would have a nice relationship with him and enjoy the classes. But the teacher was really a little worried because Aoi was physically attractive, and that could cause all the girls in the class to forget his education and fall in love with him. She is already giving it all up for lost, because when that eventually happens, Aoi will most likely leave the school, since the last boy they received did the same thing. Hopefully he will be a little different and get along well with everyone, because if he manages to stay in high school he will get a bonus as a reward. While they were going to the classroom, he was very nervous. He really wanted to make a good first impression to all his classmates, and his nerves didn't stop. Seeing him so nervous, Kana called his attention, telling him that everything will be fine and that he should try to have fun. She offered her help, telling him that if his nerves didn't disappear he could sit next to her in the classroom and she would take care of protecting him. Kono, on the other hand, tried to scare him by warning him that all the girls in the classroom would be watching him, so he should be careful. And finally Miko as well as Kana told him that everything would be fine, and if anyone tried to do anything to him she would break his face, thanks to the encouragement of his companions who were slowly becoming good friends with him. When he entered the classroom he gave a very cheerful and motivating speech, but when he finished speaking he noticed that none of the girls reacted. Aoi began to think that maybe he had been too flashy and therefore his presentation was a disaster. At the very least he thought that some of the girls would smile at him or applaud welcoming him, but apparently he had high expectations, and perhaps all the warnings he had been given about girls in this world giving excessive attention to men were false. Actually, the warnings were right. The girls had not reacted as a whole due to their enormous surprise. They had never seen a man so sure of himself and who spoke with so much motivation that had surprised them to such a level that they could not articulate any words. All of them without exception were blushing, and in their stomachs they had a nervous feeling. One of them thought that he was the most beautiful thing she had ever seen. Another that he looked like a prince out of a fairy tale. One of them thought that he was a god descended from Olympus asking him to marry her. Another was grateful to have been born in the same year as Aoi to be able to contemplate him. After this, the classes started and Aoi sat surrounded by his companions, this in order to protect him as well as possible. Aoi, with the doubt still hanging over his head, asked Kana if he did his presentation wrong since no one had greeted him, responded or at least smiled. She told him with a huge smile that he should be calm. Probably everyone was excited to meet him and that he should stop thinking about it and try to be friendly, so he would see that in reality everyone wanted to be by his side and be nice to him. Aoi thanked him for such nice words and reminded him that she is already his friend, or at least he considers her one. Hearing this made Kana very happy since she had never had a male friend, and thinking to himself that if everything went on like that, this school year would be without a doubt the best one. Innocent Kana was not wrong when she said that all the girls were interested in Aoi because some of her new classmates, when they saw them talking, got jealous, wondering what the hell Kana thought she was doing talking to Aoi and noticing that they were very close and wishing they could be in her place. The classes continued calmly on this beautiful day. Aoi thought that everything was good. The school so far had been normal and no one had tried something weird with him. He began to think that maybe everything he had been told were exaggerations. Women were not bad as his mother and sisters had told him. While these thoughts went through his mind, he looked at Kono, thinking that if women were really bad she would have already tried something with him, but no, she was a refined girl. Contemplating Kono's hair, and without thinking she said that her hair was very beautiful. At first it seemed that no one heard her words, but Kono heard it, blushing and suddenly fantasizing about marrying Aoi, wishing to have him all to herself right now. But not only Kono had heard it, but most of the girls in her classroom. Soon Miko arrived, asking her to say a compliment too. Aoi did not understand immediately what she was saying. Miko told him that she was also great and that she deserved a compliment. While saying this, she thought very annoyed that how was it possible that he only gave compliments to Kono, after all she was smarter and a better woman. Wishing with all her strength that Aoi would be more interested in her. What she didn't know was that Aoi was noticing her a lot, more specifically her breasts. Miku's melons were the same size as her mother's. Those thoughts took him to the collection room. He needed to go there because he wanted to unburden himself, seeing that part of Miku was starting to please him a lot. A few minutes later, Kana asked Aoi as a favor to give Miko a compliment, since she had had a lot of problems with the former boys they took care of, and that left her with some traumas since they all treated her badly, so she asked him to even give her a compliment to make her happy. She knew it was not polite to ask something like that to Aoi, and even more someone like her who hasn't known him for a long time, but she wanted Miku to be happy. Aoi accepted her request, so at break time she took her friends to an empty classroom to make an interesting but simple dynamic. They simply had to put on a blank sheet of paper the things they liked about him, and he would tell them the good things about them. They all thought carefully about the things they liked about Aoi. Each one had different opinions, although they agreed on some aspects. Aoi was kind, protective and attentive, among other things. When they finished, they were all blushing. The first one to start was Miko. He told her with all sincerity that he appreciated her a lot, even though he had known her for a short time. He told her that the first thing he noticed when he met her was the beautiful color of her eyes. But Miko did not want to hear that kind of compliments. She wanted something more unique, so without any other option, Aoi told her that she was a compassionate and kind person, and also that she was pretty, which caused Miko to blush heavily, and asked her not to lie to him. She began to speak in the third person, saying things like she knows that men don't like Miku, and because she was a girl with a strong character and not at all submissive Miku, he provoked fear in men. Aoi tells him that although she has a strong character that gives her personality and a cold beauty, she also tells him that because she has unusually large breasts, a boy named Yamada despised her because of that. Aoi thinks that this Yamada didn't know what he was talking about, since women with large breasts were great. She, with tears in her eyes, keeps thinking that after all Aoi also thinks that her breasts are annoying. Aoi, seeing her tears, decides to speak her mind, telling him that she loves Miku's two melons as they made her look good, and not to underestimate him by thinking things about him in advance. Miko, listening to him, lasts a few seconds in complete shock, then thinks that maybe Aoi is telling the truth and he likes everything about her. Unable to stand it any longer, she apologizes and leaves the room towards the bathroom, and being in the bathroom she unburdens all her feelings in a very carnal way that I can't show here on YouTube. Hearing that Aoi likes girls with big melons, Kono tells him that she could make him happy too. Kana, being the least daring of all, offers her company to Aoi in a more subtle way. If one day he felt sad, she could brighten his day in any way he wanted. Now it was Kana's turn to flatter Aoi. They both complimented each other so much that they looked like a couple in love, where Aoi told her that she was very beautiful, and she answered the compliment by saying that he was very handsome and had beautiful eyes. While they were saying this, both were getting closer in such a way that they were almost hugging each other. And finally there was Kono, who was waiting anxiously for her turn. Such was the desire she had that she began to drool, and without anyone noticing she began to record the conversation to have it for when she needed to listen to Aoi's compliments, being pleased to hear the words of the man she was beginning to love with all her strength. Aoi, seeing how they reacted to such simple compliments, realized that the girls of this world are easily attached, and his theory was confirmed when he arrived home and saw his whole family waiting for him, dressed as students, including his mother, who had been there for a decade. Since she left school, they knew that he was now with other young girls, would do everything possible not to lose him. So they tried everything to get his attention, and the most important thing was that each of them wanted him for herself. They did not want to share him with anyone, even if that other person was her sister, mother, daughter, or any other girl. But all these obsessive thoughts were alien to Aoi, who only thought that all the girls of this new world, including his family, were simply very affectionate and wanted to do everything possible to make him feel good, but he could not be further from reality. The different attitude he had was very striking for the girls of that world, who were used to talk and have relationships with very cold men. His attitude would lead him down very unexpected paths. If you want another part, say it below in the comments. Without further ado, remember that God is the way, the truth, and the life. God bless you.